What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. I'm CJ. Today I'm going to be talking about my games that I played in January. This is going to be part of a monthly kind of review of all the games that I played. Let's just get to it. There's a lot of games that I played this month, and I wanted to kind of highlight those, the ones that are newish, the ones that are oldish, and we'll start with Dune Imperium. So Dune Imperium Uprising, I have 8 games of Dune Imperium Uprising, which is kind of low for me. I'm a little bit higher, usually in the 15 to 20 range, but this month I only played 8. Go ahead and watch the invitational recap, which is also about getting out of the slump of Dune Imperium Uprising, which I felt myself in the last month or two. Dune, Gale Force 9 Dune. I played Gale Force 9 Dune twice, and it looks like I'm going to get another game in this February too, so that's pretty exciting. But we had a couple of games we played at the Invitational, and that we had a 7-player game and an 8-player game. The 8-player game was surprisingly over quicker than the 7-player game. We just had people went for it. Everyone else was kind of like dragging their heels, and it was a lot of fun. I played 2 games of Hegemony. Although, to be fair, we didn't finish either of these games. They're like last couple of rounds we need to finish. But the game went on really long. We saved it in TTS, and then we're going to continue playing it. And I'll give you an update on my thoughts on Hegemony as I go. But my first impressions are very good. It was very long, but very deep and interactive. So I really liked it. All right. I played a game of Longshot, the dice game. Longshot, the dice game, is the dice implementation of Longshot, which I actually do own. And Longshot, the dice game, streamlines a lot of that play. Instead of playing cards, you are using the dice to basically govern which abilities you get to use a turn, and you have a limited set of those, and you're kind of ticking things off on this dry erase sheet, and still betting money the normal way, but you just like erase your money and then write in how much money you have. So it's pretty straightforward. It's easy to play, and yeah, it was a lot of fun. I think it's not that much shorter than the other one. It's a little bit shorter. It's maybe like a 30 to 40 minute game versus like an hour to 45 minute game, 45 minute to an hour for the original. I played 3 games of The White Castle. The White Castle has been kind of a revelatory game. I hadn't, before I played this game, really enjoyed combo games. Combo games to me feel very like solo a little bit. You're like, I do this, then I do this, then I do this, then I do this, and I do this. It's like fun, can be fun. It can be very rewarding. But I like The White Castle. The White Castle is a small box game from Devere. And what they have been doing is really kind of amazing for the board gaming industry. They've been producing these very high quality Euros that are sold at about $40, 40 US dollars. And they're in smaller boxes. The production is still high quality, but the footprint they take up is a lot smaller. And so it cuts their costs down. Yeah, just really great games. And they're, this is probably my favorite. I know a lot of people really like the Red Cathedral, which is also a very good game. And I like that one as well. But I think that the White Castle for me felt more satisfying, if that makes a lot of sense. But I really did I've liked all of the Devere games so far. All right, I played a game of Symphony No.9. Now, this is a very obscure bidding game set in the classical period of like Europe, when classical's the wrong word, the height of piano concertos and symphonies and things like that, with artists like Beethoven and Bach and Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart and so on. And you have all these guys, all these famous composers, and you're putting on a show. And it's a very strange game. You have money, and you're bidding money in order to take these cubes off of their lifespan, basically like committing them to making work. It's extremely abstract, extremely strange. And then in the second part of the game, you're like doing this. Everyone's doing this around the table. And then you're going to be secretly bidding money to fund their shows. And you want to kind of hit this sweet spot. And so it's a weird kind of bidding game where you don't want to bid too high, but you don't want to bid too low, but maybe you do want to bid too high. And it depends on what composers you'd invested in by taking their cubes. Very strange game. I did like it, but I'm glad I played it. But it's definitely a very strange one. Forest Shuffle. I played Forest Shuffle 3 times this month, and I was introduced to it this month. So this was a new game to me. Forest Shuffle is a tableau builder drafting game, kind of. It follows some of the patterns and similarities of games like Ethnos. If you've ever played Ethnos, which has a very smooth, like I take an action, you take an action, go around the table, around the table, around the table till the game ends. And the game end is triggered when in Ethnos 3 dragons show up, basically, which is kind of transposed into Forest Shuffle where 3 Winter is Coming cards show up. So I don't know, there's some Game of Thrones references. I'm not exactly sure what's going on with that, but the game is really quick. It's also very fun because every card basically triggers off of other cards, or they give points for other cards. It reminds me a lot of Point Salad, which is a card game I really liked as well. Force Shuffle was more interesting. It had more combos going on, more ways to score points. And I think what made it successful and fun is that it was quick, and everyone kind of saw those strategies. And by game 3, or I guess it was 1 session with one group of players and 2 sessions with the same group of players. So in that second game we played, everyone kind of knew there were some strategies. Like one person went for the tree strategy, and the other one went for the lynx and deer strategy, and the other one went for a mushroom combo with squirrels and so on, and foxes. Like you can kind of see that meta kind of shaping just as you start playing a couple games. So it's really interesting. I'm not sure about the balance of the game. I know that some people have reported they've scored extremely high, while like our games were generally about somewhere between 60 to 80 points. So yeah, it was interesting, but Forest Shuffle was a good time, and I will be looking out for that one to pick up. Biblios. I played Biblios once. Biblios is the very first game by Dr. Steve Finn, and I adore this game. It's amazing. Sometimes I just bring Biblios out because it's a quick 40-minute game, maybe 30-minute game, set collection, bluffing, and bidding, and it does it so well. Really, this game does it so well that I haven't found a better game that does this in such a short time and with so few components. It's just a deck of cards and then 5 dice. And the dice, you don't even roll them in this game. It's really bizarre. It's like, what kind of a dice game do you not roll dice in? Well, you don't really use them for that. They kind of like tick them up or down, and they represent points that you can acquire at the end of the game. So, but Biblios is one of those games that, for me, it's never leaving my collection. It's one of my favorite games of all time. And yeah, I got a game in it this month. I was very pleased to do that. Vadis. Vadis was a really big hit for me in 2023. I got 2 plays of it in January. This game is essentially a negotiation game where you're trying to get your animals, or at least one animal, to the star exhibit. And if you can do that, then you can win the game. Otherwise, you are not eligible to win the game. And this is a game where you're trying to get votes from other players in order to leave exhibits and move to new exhibits. And if you do that, then you essentially are one step closer to getting to that star exhibit. There's individual player powers, unique player powers. And yeah, it's just a great time because it's super quick. I'm not sure how much longevity it's going to have based on, I've had, I think 4 plays total. But with this, it's been a lot of fun. It's good introducing it to new people. And if you have the right group, this is essential. If you have the right group that loves negotiation games, or that really gets into that kind of role play, or really just finds pleasure in figuring out ways to get other people to bicker at tables, which sometimes my group does, then you might really enjoy this game, because I quite like it. I think it's quick enough. It lasts maybe 40 minutes. Maybe an hour with like 6 players or 5 players. My preferred player count right now is like 4 or 5. So yeah. Race Arcana. So Race Arcana, I played 1 game of Race Arcana this month. This game is still good. We played it on Board Game Arena with some of the crew from the Hidden Assets Discord, and we just had a good time playing Race Arcana. I think it was Lannister was in there, and he ended up winning the game. A very close second. I was very close second. I knew that there was a path to victory, and I had a 1 in 4 chance of top decking the 3-point monument off the top of the deck and winning the game. but it went an extra round, and then he produced like 9 points the next round. So that was how it went. That's how it went. Race Arcana, pretty fun. Stockpile. So Stockpile is a game that was introduced by Rick in the Hidden Assets Discord and TTS Discord. And he showed us this interesting stock game where you are essentially placing stock cards for companies on piles, essentially stockpile. You're putting them in piles, and then you're going to be bidding for those piles. And I love bidding games, and this one really struck a chord with me. The first game I played of it, I was still figuring it out, but the second game, everyone was going. Like, we figured it out. We knew what was going on. And you're going to be scoring points for obviously holding stocks at the end of the game, but there's a cool mechanism where every round the stocks are going to vary up or down, and you know some of what's going to happen because you have a card that tells you which stock is going to go up or down, or maybe you'll just pay dividends. Everyone has one of those, and then there's a common card, you know, that one's going to go up or down or pay dividends. And so you're trying to guess what players are going to be, what they have, and what they're interested in based on what they bid. And the bidding kind of goes like 1, 3, 5, 6, 10, 15. It like escalates pretty quickly. You only have set fixed numbers you can bid. And so that's really fascinating. It was great. I like this game quite a lot. I think I'm going to look to pick it up. So Stockpile was a big hit for me. Caesar sees Rome in 20 minutes. Caesar is a 2-player abstract area control game designed by Paolo Mori. I'm a big fan of this game. I just pulled it out to play with a friend of mine where we're waiting for other players to get to the table. And I'm not sure what my other friend thought about it. I think they liked it, but it was the first play, and I had been playing it. Like, I'd have 50 or so, maybe more plays of this game. I haven't counted because it was since it came out, I've been playing this game a lot. It's one of those things that you just can bring along with you, small box, and it's quick. It really is a 20-minute game, but love it. I love Caesar, and this one, yeah, I mean, if you haven't played it, go give it a shot. At the same event, I played That's Not a Hat. It's a new game. That's Not a Hat is a memory game, very strange memory game where you basically like dealt one card face down, and you got to remember what it is, and then you're dealt one person's dealt another card, and you have to then look at it. Everyone sees it. You look at it and you say what it is and you pass it, kind of like in cockroach poker, if you ever played that. And then the person can either say thank you for that hat or whatever it is, and then they can accept it or they can reject it. And if they think it's wrong, and flip it over. And if it's wrong and you got it wrong when you passed it, then you get a negative point by taking the card, and you don't want cards. So essentially, it's a game about memory. You're just passing things around. Things get really chaotic. It's more of an activity than a game. Honestly, it was just sort of fun to do and pass the time. I don't think this is a game for me, but I can see groups really enjoying it, especially if you're a light gamer or just like having time, like enjoy time at the table, just chilling with friends or chilling with family, and you don't want something too difficult. I mean, first of all, if you're an adult and you're trying to do a memory game, good luck. I'm terrible at them. One of my friends was really good at it, and he won. So it was just like, obviously, if you have the better memory, you're going to win. That's how it works. Thunder Road Vendetta. I got to play Thunder Road Vendetta with my friend's tricked out set. He had a painted set, and man, this game was fun. It's basically a dice chucker. You're rolling dice and moving your one of 3 vehicles. You have a small, a medium, and a large vehicle, and you're just basically trying to like crash into people and get them to blow up, basically. You have like a helicopter that comes down and blocks people, kind of, and then you can shoot people, and it's just chaos. In this game, all of my cars blew up. One of them skid into a wall. No, 2 of them skid into a wall. One was shot to death. So Thunder Road Vendetta was a lot of fun. I played Challengers Beach Cup, which is also a new game to me. I had not played Challengers, so I had no idea what I was getting into. But this was sort of like we need something that will last maybe 40 minutes that everyone at the table can get. We had 6 players, so this worked out pretty well. You need to have like an even player count. You don't need to. There's a bot, but it's really not fun to play with a bot in a party game. So we did 6-player game of Challengers Beach Cup, and basically what this game is it's a deck builder kind of flip, like it's like playing war with a bunch of different cards and special powers. Essentially, you're going to match up with somebody, you get some free cards, and then you get to find cards, hopefully, that match up with your combos, and then you're going to flip over cards. And then if you have a higher number, you're going, or an equal number to the other person, you're going to take their flag, and you're just basically trying to keep the flag at the end of the round or not run out of cards. That's it. It's very simple, and you play 7 rounds of this. Personally, for me, this was not a game for me. I thought it was okay at best. I thought it was amusing, but I would not play it again. I would definitely ask to play something else that was 6-player and a little bit more interesting, like maybe Skull. But yeah, Challengers Beach Cup, it was okay. It has some fun combos, but it's extremely random. And most of the players, I think, at the table felt that they were done with it before we got to round 7. Marrakesh, Stefan Feld's 2023 release. I wish I had played it in 2023. It would probably be on my top 10. Almost 100% it would be on my top 10 of 2023. Marrakesh is a kind of classic Euro where you are, it's interesting because it is a classic Euro and it isn't a classic Euro. You're drafting in this game, but you're not drafting dice or cards. You're drafting these little wooden pieces called keshes. And the keshes are dropped through this kind of dice tower thing. And so some of them come out and some of them don't at times. And so you can't really 100% plan around your turn. It's not perfect information. Sometimes things go wrong and your keshes don't come out that you wanted. So essentially this way this game works is you are going to be revealing your keshes. You reveal 3 of them on your turn. Everyone's going to then mark their board, their player board, with their assistants. And those regions that they mark, there's 9 regions, I think. Those regions will activate on their turn. Okay, and so then we collect those keshes, we put them in the dice tower, they fly out, and then we are going to be drafting them, and you can draft 2 keshes of a single color in a single go. And so this creates an imbalance, a really interesting imbalance, in that you really want to specialize in powerful areas, but if you have an activated ability, or you're going to activate that area, you probably want those keshes that round. But you don't always get them, and people would hate draft those after you. So it's very interesting, the dynamic at the table. It really shifted from round to round, and everyone around the table was enjoying it. One of my friends who was a little bit hesitant going into playing this game said that he had a friend who played it and said it was just okay. But at the end of it, he said it was great. So yeah, I mean, give it a shot. Marrakesh, it's an expensive game. I think I got it for, I think it's like $100. I had like a coupon, so I got it for like 80, but man, that's expensive. I have the Essential Edition as well. So I'd get that. The other one has just bigger stuff, more wood, the Deluxe Edition or whatever it's called. I don't need a Deluxe Edition really. They're nice, but I actually like how Marrakesh's Essential Edition's board is small. And I can fit everything on my table, and it just felt like it had a nice presence anyway. So I wasn't super worried about that. But Marrakesh, great, really great game. Enjoyed that a lot. I had one play of Fresh Fish by Freedom and Frieza, and this is one of my favorite Freedom and Frieza games, if not my favorite Freedom and Frieza game. Fresh Fish is, we played the classic rules, so there's like 2 different rule sets. The new rule set is fine, but kind of garbage, and the old classic rule set is eccentric and really awesome. Essentially, what you're doing in this game, it's a bidding game. Play a lot of bidding games. It's a bidding game, but you have these like control discs you're going to be putting out on the board. You can either place a disc or you can draw a tile from the bag. Okay, so if you place a disc, you just have to place it orthogonally adjacent to either a road or another disc. That's it. But what you want to do is get your stalls as close as possible to the vendors, and because you don't want to have points at the end of the game. Points are bad. And so if you get your disc, which is where you could place one of your vendors on a space, I hope this makes some sense because it's a confusing game, and you bid for it and you win it, you have to place it on one of those discs, right? That makes sense. But if you're going to get those by pulling tiles out of a bag. There's a bunch of stalls in the bag, but there's also a bunch of tables. There's random, they're blank things, and then they just are tables and they block space off. So if you draw one and it's a table, you must place it on one of your disc locations that you've claimed. So that might be a space that you actually want your stall at, so you don't want to draw from the bag. So you're trying to position, there's a lot of jockeying for position. And then what happens is every space on the board, and this is what really messes with everyone's mind when they're playing this game, is every space on the board must be contiguous. It must be connected by a road. So if like a space could be cut off by another space, like becoming a stall, it becomes a road immediately. So it's almost like a reverse minesweeper kind of thing where these roads are populating. It's not an action, it just like happens as a game mechanism. And so this strange game populates these roads as you're trying to bid. And so your tokens, which might have been occupying those spaces, can just go away and you might lose that. So you're trying to figure out how best to place your token so that you don't get rerouted to around the board, so you can't like score too many points, which is bad, and so on. It's a little confusing, but go look it up. Fresh Fish, a very strange game, but I quite enjoy it. All right, I played one game of Marvel Champions, the card game, with some friends, and I usually play this game on Sundays, but we kind of hadn't been able to get the game played for a while because of family obligations and so on. But we played a game. I was playing as Wolverine. We had Deadpool, Wolverine, and someone else who I can't remember. Oh, it was Black Panther. That's right. So we had Wolverine, Deadpool, and Black Panther, and we were fighting Juggernaut, and we crushed Juggernaut. We'd done the campaign and gotten to that point and then got crushed, and then decided we just wanted to try to play against Juggernaut to see if we could beat him. So we did that, and we did. It was fun. I love Marvel Champions. It's a good time. I played one game of this very strange abstract called Kuba, which is hard to find. It's a game where you're pushing these glass marbles, and you're trying to score points by pushing red ones off. You can only push a contiguous group, and you can push an opponent's piece, but you can't push an opponent's piece if there's two of their pieces in that line. So you're trying to figure out ways to like push them off or push the red ones off. And if you push one off, you get an extra turn. So you kind of like, it goes pretty fast. So it's a quick game. It's a lot of fun. It's actually pretty interesting. Kuba. And then the final game I played this month is Mlem Space Agency. Mlem Space Agency was a gift from a friend of mine for my birthday, and it's a game about cats blasting off in outer space. I already have a game about rats going to outer space, but Mlem Space Agency is a Reiner Knizia game, and in this game you are all on this rocket, and there's a commander, and the commander is going to roll these dice, and then they're going to use the dice to move the spaceship, and they can move the spaceship only if the dice they roll match that space's like dice marker. If there's a 1 on that space, then they can use 1s. If there's 2s, they can use 2s, and so on. If for whatever reason they roll dice and they don't roll any of those symbols that are on that space, they crash, and everyone crashes. But your cats come back to you. They don't die, because cats, they have infinite lives in this game. Yeah, so you have like 8 cats in this game, and each of them has a special power, so that might affect the mission. But the kind of weird thing, it's kind of like Celestia, if you ever played that game. You go up as far as possible, then the person moves the spaceship, but then everyone in turn order gets to decide whether they want to disembark. I'm not really sure how they do this thematically. There's like a cat with a parachute, and the parachute lets the cat disembark even if the ship explodes. Not exactly sure thematically how this works. Cats just disembark. They just go to planets, or they go to moons, or they go into the void of outer space. Who cares? It's just a weird, like, push your luck game. So, yeah, but it's a lot of fun, and I do really enjoyed Mlem Space Agency. It has a beautiful, beautiful board. It's got a neoprene mat that's long and sits in the middle of the table. I would recommend this game for families if you're interested. Like 8+ year olds, I think, would love it. In fact, my 7-year-old really loved it, and she plays quite a few games. But yeah. But that was a good one, Mlem Space Agency. Those are the games that I played in January. Thank you for watching. If you have any questions about those games, go ahead and write in the comments below. You can also like and subscribe here and show us some support. If you really want to support us, you can do so on Patreon at patreon.com/hiddenassets. And I will see you on the next one. Take care, everyone.